I feel like when you're watching the return of your childhood heroes, these are the sounds you're supposed to be making. Ooh, whoa, yes. And these are the sounds you shouldn't be making. Ew, ugh. Yep, today's video is looking at why Tommy Oliver, the original Green Ranger, is better than Luke Skywalker. Now, I haven't just plucked this theme out of mid-air. Both of these characters have returned to us in the last 12 months as their original actors have filmed new material for their respective franchises. Let's preface this by acknowledging the people that will consider it blasphemous to be comparing the long-running intergalactic adventure series with Star Wars, considering one is primarily a 20-minute TV show and the other is primarily a feature film saga. But here's the thing. They're both aimed at children, they both produce copious amounts of action figures, soon to all be made under one roof by Hasbro. So take this in the spirit from which it comes, a friendly duel between two greats. First, let's jump back to December 2017 when this all started. Star Wars released Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Meanwhile, Power Rangers had filmed a 25th anniversary episode, featuring the return of past legendary Rangers, of which we suspected and eventually had confirmed that Tommy Oliver, the original Green Ranger, was a part of. Power Rangers entering its 25th anniversary offered Tommy more than one comeback appearance. In fact, a quarter of a century after he first inhabited the role, I would say that the character of Tommy Oliver is more relevant and important in the Power Rangers universe than ever. Now we have Luke Skywalker, who, after being teased throughout The Force Awakens and shown in a wordless cameo at the end, returns to screens 40 years after his first appearance. NME Magazine's December 8th, 2017 magazine describes Luke's role in the film as he's going to get a lot more to do this time than glower with his hood up. I disagree. I can accept that he doesn't have his hood up for the whole of the movie, but he does glower a ton. Reputation is a big thing in fandoms, and I feel like both of these guys are the quintessential hero faces of their respective franchises. They inhabit big worlds, even universes, but as characters, they've remained reliable constants, like points on a compass. The difference is, after this last year, while Tommy undoubtedly is still the ultimate hero in Power Rangers, Luke is not for Star Wars. Let's consider them as the aging hero. Luke Skywalker's latest appearance shows a man much older than Tommy Oliver. Now perhaps Disney and Lucasfilm want to pass on the mantle to the younger crowd. But Saban has seemed happy several times to develop Tommy as an aging hero, and he still rises to the occasion when needed. Their statuses are actually quite similar. Luke has vanished, as declared very matter-of-factly in the opening crawl of The Force Awakens. Tommy is actually seen at the start of his anniversary episode, but we find out later was immediately captured. So the other characters basically have the same mission in that they're trying to reconnect with their respective lead heroes. Go figure why the Journey storyline is so overused, but I guess if it ain't broke. While Jason David Frank has described the Dimensions in Danger 25th anniversary episode as Green Ranger approved and something fans will like, Mark Hamill has been less vocally supportive of his latest role. Also from NME, when talking about director Rian Johnson, Mark Hamill was quoted in Vanity Fair as saying, "I pretty much fundamentally disagree with every choice you've made for Luke. He screws his face up when this is raised. I phrased it inartfully. I should have said I was fundamentally shocked at what you've decided for my character. He says in the trailer, I only know one truth. It's time for the Jedi to end. That alone, Luke was the most optimistic character. What has happened in all those years that has so traumatized him into being that cynical?" The interesting thing is that at the end of the film, Luke Skywalker becomes the spark that lights the flame, and the insinuation is that all these next generation of kids will be inspired by the legends that are told about him. There's even a tie-in book about the legends of Luke Skywalker that people are telling and not really knowing which ones are real. The difference in Power Rangers is that all the legends about Tommy Oliver are true. Tommy doesn't have to rely on myth because he's already doing all the things that make him a legend. Does that make Star Wars smarter for taking a more sardonic spin? I don't think so. As we see in The Last Jedi, Star Wars is bleak and obsessed with failure. Power Rangers is positive and obsessed with victory. Is it any surprise which one is more preferable? Action, inaction. While Tommy is still a plucky, spirited together guy, Luke has become a grumpy, antisocial hermit. His first 2 words of dialogue come 4 minutes into his on-screen appearance and are, "Go away." Compare that to Tommy, who is making plans to see someone that night that we assume is Kat. Gia from Megaforce had an appointment with him too. He's a popular guy in the Power Rangers universe and a dad to boot. Back in Zeo we saw into the future, and that at least one of his and Kat's grandsons take up the family business too. Luke Skywalker doesn't have a son, but we learn was trying to teach his nephew Ben Solo in the ways of the Force, Jedi, both? I don't know. That backfired though and led to the situation he's now in, self-imposed exile. His first action in the film is very negative. It's to throw away the lightsaber Rey is trying to reunite him with, the one that he lost in the sword fight with Darth Vader when he lost his hand. In the last act he's finally using the Force again and is able to astral project his image across the universe. Tommy meanwhile has a new upgraded morpher that allows him to quick cycle between multiple power coins. From a slightly throwaway comment by JDF, we understand this comes from the original creator of the power coins, Ninja. And in the Street Fighter short we see that Ninja has also given him an upgrade for his Green Ranger powers. While he's definitely got a lot of new tricks, he still respects where he comes from, and we see him use a lot of his old powers as well. So you could say Luke has become more advanced in his Force abilities, but Tommy has learned how to juggle multiple powers and possibly Zords, and learn how to use them at the right time to achieve the best effect. In a sense, Tommy has become his own team of Rangers, plus he can still turn invisible. In short, Tommy is still going. He admitted to being old in 2004, but even in 2014 and 2018, he's still fighting. Even the newest team of Rangers respect him as the ranking Ranger. Luke literally thinks himself to death. That's the only explanation we get in the film. Mark Hamill states the Force killed him, like an addict overdosing decades after going clean. There's that negativity again. He and Tommy could not be positioned any further apart in terms of how they're portrayed. Luke has become paranoid and indecisive. He wanted to kill his nephew rather than helping him. I get that Luke has always been flawed, but a misunderstanding has caused a ricochet of so much death throughout the universe. The shocking moments just for the sake of humour or subverting expectations, like the lightsaber throwing moment. Meanwhile on Power Rangers, I could honestly say that Tommy still acts exactly as I would expect him to. He doesn't disrespect his past, and he understands he needs to work alongside the current generation. Years after his last full season, and yet he's still reliably a classic. You could say that Luke is a better, more fleshed out character because of The Last Jedi. You could say there's a bittersweet irony in him dying and becoming one with the Force, the thing that he was originally so gifted in. They both seem to have retreated into the lore they come from. Tommy with his new morpher, and also we see in Street Fighter being based at Ninja's new temple. Luke has retreated to the Jedi temple, but he's not actually doing anything with it, he's just guarding it. Luke has become a bit of a conscientious objector, whereas Tommy is still very much a warrior. The Master Mentor. From Luke being described as a Jedi Master to Tommy being given a Master Morpher, we are told that both of these characters are at the top of their game. However, how well they play with others is of note, because while I'd say one of them does, one of them don't. Tommy is still living in the same house we saw him in during 2004's Dino Thunder. Luke meanwhile cleared off to live in solitude, ditching his sister, brother-in-law removed, and best robo-friend in R2-D2. Luke then rejects Rey, possibly the first visitor he's had in years, and tells her to leave. Whereas Tommy seems only too happy to work alongside the new generation. We've seen him do this many times now, and more recently he's taken to giving them some words of encouragement as well. He validates the new, whereas Luke refuses to help Rey because of what happened with Ben. Tommy has no such qualms, and we've seen him work alongside a relative newcomer like Gia 3 times in the last 4 years. Flip it around, the Ninja Steel team, along with all previous Rangers, respect Tommy. Rey doesn't respect Luke. Okay, maybe she does in the beginning, but his actions cause them to give up on each other. It's like a dysfunctional relationship that never clicks into place. She expects him to be like a mystic mage, but he ends up disappointing her. Also milk, ugh. In sum, Luke turns his back on people who ask for help, whereas Tommy is quite happy to go out of his way to befriend new Rangers, and his authority and stamp of approval are validating in the Power Rangers universe. A disclaimer maybe on age, they're obviously not at the same part of their journey. I'd say Luke at Tommy's age was probably doing something a bit more active. Maybe that's where it all went wrong with Ben Solo. But while Luke went a little wrong, Tommy has avoided such a crossroad so far and is just the master mentor we need. Staying constant. People might prefer the characterization of Tommy for being consistent, or people might prefer the characterization of Luke for trying something new and allowing him to change. Perhaps Tommy, if presented with similar circumstances, might react in the same way. But from what we've been shown, he hasn't been. He's much more reliable and familiar to us. To me, that makes him better. You might not agree. How consistent are these versions of the characters? Well, just last month, Rian Johnson used that exact word in a tweet, saying, "Hot take, Luke is in fact 100% consistent with his character," open bracket, not the way he's described in marketing blurbs, but the actual based on his words and actions character, close bracket, from the OT. I'll be at the bar if you need me. Pretty sure OT means original trilogy. I just don't believe that Luke, who refused to give up on his own child-killing father, would give up on his morally conflicted nephew, who hadn't even done anything yet to warrant being lightsabered in his sleep. I also don't believe that Luke, who was always very action-oriented, would say, "Oh well, that went wrong, I guess I'd better go and hide and wait to die." You could argue that's exactly what Yoda and Obi-Wan did, but Luke was always presented as a much more promising character, full of more potential than just falling in line with a bad tradition. Tommy, having made more than 230 episodic appearances, has had quite the journey, literally turning from evil to good to mentor. Since then, he's been one of the brightest and most consistent beacons in the series. He's appeared during the 10th, 21st and 25th anniversaries and been a main character on 6 of the 25 seasons. If you need someone to rely on, it's him. And I'm only talking about main TV show timeline Tommy. But for someone who's done so much, it's amazing that they can keep giving us new content that fits his character and our impressions of him. The power of satisfaction. One of the indicators of how much you enjoy something is how satisfied you feel by the elements of it. This is where opinion might be divided, but I personally felt very satisfied by Tommy's appearance in Dimensions in Danger. I can think of 3 times in the episode that really vindicated my expectations of him. The first being when he appears to the Ninja Steel Rangers on the bridge, the second being when he battles his clone using his former powers, the extended cut obviously, and the third being when he calls the Falcon Zord. These moments are obviously designed to be pleasing, and I think they work. In just 20 minutes of runtime, they managed to give Tommy several of these moments, and your favourites may differ to mine. Meanwhile, in The Last Jedi's 2.5 hours of runtime, Luke had very few of these moments. I would say, alright, when he talks to Leia on Crate, and when he steps out in front of the whole First Order like he'd mocked Rey for expecting him to do at the start of the film. Definitely when he survives the bazillion laser blasts and just brushes his shoulder off like it's nothing. But then they ruin it. They pull the rug out from under us and reveal that he's actually just making an intergalactic FaceTime call. What had seemed impressive is cheapened again. He's not there to help them win a battle, he's there to stall for time and facilitate an escape. It's not that heroic, it's not that satisfying. It's a trick. Our hero has tricked us, and it doesn't feel good. In terms of where the characters go next, I'm far more interested in Tommy's journey than I am in Luke's. You can actually read the new graphic novel Soul of the Dragon to find out about Tommy's last battle. And without spoiling anything, let's just say that Tommy is a lot less reluctant to use his powers in his old age, even though he probably should be. In conclusion, are you only as good as your last appearance, or should we consider the character journey as a whole? If we are, Tommy's is still better. I will say as well, both actors are incredibly compelling and do so much for the fans. I want nothing but good things for them. There is a new Star Wars movie coming next Christmas, Episode 9, and J.J. Abrams might be able to fix Luke, albeit as a Force ghost. Meanwhile, Tommy's currently living on in the comics, in both the Go-Go Power Rangers series, and of course his own graphic novel, as I mentioned, Soul of the Dragon. Comics have been really good to Tommy in the last few years, so we'll see where this goes next. You know, they've got that whole Blade Runner / Old Man Logan vibe going in Soul of the Dragon, so they probably want the chance to turn this into a TV series or film at some point. We'll see what happens there too. What I think we can agree on is that writers need to be very careful when handling coveted characters, because it's just as easy to knock them off the pedestal as it is to keep them on top of it. I think it can be quite dangerous to bring back beloved characters, because what they want to do with the character might not be what the fans expect from them. Slightly off topic, but this Hasbro figure is awesome, even though I do feel like he needs a lightsaber. There's something to look forward to in 2019 at least. Luke's character might get fixed, Tommy's figures might be more impressive. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think of this one. Do you agree or disagree? Check me out on Instagram at PowerRangergram. Subscribe here to Power Ranger Tube, and then you won't miss out on my Christmas video, which may have a little giveaway to it. So until the next time, see you later.